He is the sole reason why you guys see our ugly mugs twice a week.
You've got Marvellous to blame for this.
We was hoping for the mother of all deadline days, and really and truly we got what deadline day usually offers. Lots of rumours, lots of hope, which always kills you, and in the end 2 signings, 4 exits. I mean, why you'd want to go and live in Venice and not Luton's beyond me, but he's gone to Serie B.
Can't compete with Venice, you can't compete with London, even if it is Leighton. Luton tapping up Barnsley players felt like a warm hug from an old friend.
How dare these Barnsley people say no to us? That's 2 transfer windows on the bounce. We've had a Barnsley midfielder say, not happening. Alas, apparently they wanted 1.5 million and we only went to 1 million and we ran out of time to get any deal done. Well, we needed to call Carol Vorderman up to get the numbers right. Immediately among Luton fans, you're going to get red flags flying because of the last time we dipped into the Scandinavian market. The jury's out for deliberation, but the prosecution have put a much stronger case together than the defence. And I hope I'm completely and utterly wrong, and these 3 are the first, second and third comings of Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi and any other midfielder that you can think of. It's been another eventful week for the town with their reinstatement to the trophy, deadline day, and we've got a fixture coming up against Bradford, and we're going to look at all of that in the one podcast, and I've got Jimbo alongside me to do all of that. It's never dull, this Luton fan lark, Jimbo.
Cramming all that in, aren't we?
We will indeed. We will cram it in right after this intro. Hello everyone, welcome along to the latest episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast. This season, the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As you heard me say prior to the intro, we are going to look at all things that have happened since our last podcast, and we will preview the Bradford game all in one podcast. We did hint that we might have done a special transfer deadline day podcast, but, well, the business wasn't really strong enough to warrant that. So we can get it all condensed into one. And as ever, I'm alongside Jimbo for the next hour or so. Before we go on to deadline day and Bradford, though, Jimbo, news broke as we were on our way to the studio this evening. The town are back in. Swindon have been, well, depending on where you read, they've been dumped out, they've been kicked out, they've been removed from the trophy. Something's happened to them, but they're not in the trophy no more. And Luton are the beneficiaries of that. And, well, I mean, it's good because there's a Wembley trip 2 wins away, and one of those wins would be a home win where we're generally pretty strong. But as I said at the time, we are mighty lucky that we're still in this trophy.
We are, but it was almost inevitable. The bad thing is that it took so long to sort out, and now we're not going to be playing at the time we're supposed to be playing next week when the fixture was originally scheduled, and we haven't got a clue, really. We'll find out in 48 hours, apparently. Well, less by the time the good people listen to this, but it just took too long. I mean, they fielded ineligible players. It's just, I don't know why it took that long. But we're back in the competition, and I cannot wait for Swindon's pre-match press conference.
There's Premier League games going on this weekend, but the most watched press conference of any of the games in the Football League this weekend might be Ian Holloway's, because obviously he went right off on one last week. And you suspect he's going to double down, wouldn't you? Because, you know, to coin his phrase, they beat us fair and square. Well, actually, Ian, you didn't. And that is the problem. And that is why we're still in the trophy and you're not. I still maintain the biggest crime committed that night was the titfer he was allowed to wear, because that was horrendous.
Never yellow. That's the rule, isn't it?
Absolutely, if indeed that's what it was. I mean, horrible, horrible colour. But yep, Swindon gone. Luton are back in. Luton will host Plymouth Argyle, which means we'll get another reunion with Talai. I think he's Talai. Someone told me he's called Talai. We've been calling him Tolaj.
It is that. I just prefer you to carry on getting it wrong, to be honest.
We're English. We don't do none of this fancy down foreign accent stuff, but maybe we need to, based on deadline day. and the incomings. But yes, at some point, Luton will play Plymouth Argyle in the quarter-final of that competition. And as Jimbo said, we're meant to know this side of Friday when it will be. But with midweek games on the horizon in the league, I suspect there's a lot of jiggery-pokery still to happen between now and then. That's that done and dusted. Let's go back to transfer deadline day. We was expecting... No, I don't think we was expecting. We was hoping for the mother of all deadline days. And really and truly, we got what deadline day usually offers. Lots of rumours, lots of hope, which always kills you. And in the end, 2 signings, 4 exits. And, well, we'll recap on the whole transfer window once we've gone through deadline day. Prior to us recording the review of the review of the Blackpool game and getting that out to you, it was confirmed that Lamine Fane is signed for Venezia on a permanent transfer. I mean, why he would want to go and live in Venice and not Luton's beyond me, but he's gone to Serie B, and as I said, it kind of disappoints me, that one, because we're quite keen on succession planning, particularly with the team here, aren't we? And a 22-year-old midfielder who had an awful lot of ability to bring out has left the football club.
It's a disappointing one, isn't it? Because I think that we all saw potential in him. I don't think he necessarily fully realised that. There was maybe a 3 or 4 game stretch early in the season where we thought, hello, everything's clicking now for Fana. But it never really did. And then obviously he clearly sort of fell out of favour a little bit. And that Swindon game, incidentally, was the one that made sure he was dropped. But we heard all in the build-up that they'd sorted that out and his attitude was everything and it was good and stuff. But yeah, it's a strange move, that, isn't it? I know there's different levels in the different countries, but the top flight in Sweden to then come and play in the Championship in Luton, get dropped down to the 3rd tier, and then go and play in the 2nd tier in Italy. I don't really know. I don't get that. Like you say, he's going to play football on water, isn't he? So maybe that's the attraction.
Maybe he likes living on a boat or something. I don't know, and I've never watched a Serie B game in my life, so I don't know the standard of it. But yeah, I just find that one a little bit disappointing. We'll come on to the incomings in a moment. Deadline day then, 4 outs, as I say, 2 ins. And I guess the biggest out, really, it was Marvellous Nakamba, which isn't a surprise. I think we expected it to happen. We thought that maybe a Saudi team might come in for him, but that clearly didn't happen. But he merits an awful lot of respect. I mean, he is the sole reason why you guys see our ugly mugs twice a week, because if we weren't in the Premier League, we probably would have stuck to doing this on audio, wouldn't we? And he was the catalyst to taking us on that Premier League tour.
I hadn't thought of it like that. So, you've got Marvellous to blame for this. It was a ride though, wasn't it? On the way up, him coming in, Cody Drama coming in and making it all the way there. It's such a shame that he was one of those players really that got afflicted in that injury epidemic of February 24, wasn't it? So, but for that, and incidentally, a better transfer window, a much better transfer window, we might have stayed in the Premier League. But yeah, I mean, the fondness that everyone has for him won't be taken away. It'd be interesting to see if he plays at Sheffield Wednesday, because the knee was the excuse, or not excuse. I mean, that was the reason that he didn't play. Couldn't train a lot. You said you saw him at AFCON, couldn't get around the pitch, so it looked like time and injuries had caught up with him. So I hope he gets a run or something, and then if he plays longer than you're wondering, what was that about? I don't think it was anything to do with appearances or anything like that. And he was I'm led to believe he was the highest earner at the club. But that stands to reason because of when he came in, at the time he came in. I'm sure that salary got cut like everybody else's when they're relegated twice, but still would have been the highest earner. So in that regard, it's got that money off the books. Although they probably had to pay him up to the end of the season, was his contract. I think we're led to believe it's that. we don't know because it's always undisclosed and no length of contracts, but that would make sense. But yeah, it was one of those where you sort of what could have been, because he was so good. And then he goes, and it was a little bit telling, isn't it? When you've made a massive contribution, you get a good bit of spiel about you on your exit, and when you haven't, 3 paragraphs and a good luck on your future. So he got the full works, and rightly so.
Top class bloke as well. We both met him, absolute diamond geezer, and what he does with his foundation and everything else. It's just as good off the pitch as he was on the pitch for us. And when we do move into Power Court, his legacy will be part of that, because obviously the Premier League money's paid for it. The rest of the outs were largely loans, weren't they? I didn't see Rue Waters going out on loan, and I certainly didn't see Rue Waters going out on loan to Blackpool. I wonder if they picked him up on Saturday and took them off with him in the team coach. It's probably not a bad move, but at the same time, it's a position that we needed filling anyway, and we've just let someone who can genuinely play that position go. And I know that Jack said to you in Friday's press conference that Izzy Jones is his right back, and that's fine. I'm absolutely fine with Izzy Jones being his right back. He's got similar credentials to Jack Stacey in terms of dynamite attacking, and not many go past him. I get that. Problem is, he's played 5 games in total, not 5 total games, 5 appearances this season. You always get the feeling he's one whack away from an injury.
Well, the first one, though, the long-term one, was a stress fracture in the back, and that's a freak one, isn't it? And the other one, I guess, just a bit of wear and tear. I mean, he played quite a few games in the previous season, so we'll have to see on that one. But you'd have to think that they've nursed him back well enough to the point where they think that he can cope. Then it's just that he's got to get through, a certain amount of games to prove that. I've got no real problem with him being right back. It was a surprise to me because I thought he'd come as a winger, and he did do all right when in the wing back system when he was asked to play there. But apparently Jack said that he told him that he wants to play right back. So if that's the case, then let him have a go. And when you sort of hear that, I think that it is understandable that Rue Waters was loaned out, because he's not had a lot of game time since he joined Luton, really. And the one thing you can say, I think, about this transfer window, certainly the exits, is that Jack's been fairly ruthless with it, and he'll know Rue Waters as well from Arsenal. And if he's not close to the first team, then it's understandable that you'd let him go out, and hopefully that he gets a run of games, and we'll see. There's a whole group of players now where we're saying that, aren't they? Let's send them out and let's see. But my view tends to be that if they're going out on loan, it's just a stopgap until they go away to another club permanently. We'll wait and see.
We certainly hope that's the case with the last exit, Jacob Brown, who it was teased to us by some journalists that he'd signed permanently for Portsmouth. Alas, no, we couldn't gub them off that much, but he has gone on loan to Portsmouth for the rest of the season. Listen, some of the players that have left this football club, whether they wanted to be at this club in League One or not, they hid it well. This guy didn't. Every performance this season stunk of a guy who has no interest in League One whatsoever. So I'm mighty glad he's gone, and wouldn't be shedding any tears if he doesn't come back.
I've seen that sort of levels of criticism of vitriol this week. I think he was a player that didn't really have a position, and
you can still put some effort in, though.
Well, I mean, if that's your view, that's your view. But he wasn't a 9. Though Jack said he's probably best suited as a 9, and he couldn't get in then. And he certainly isn't a winger. He was busy without a hell of a lot of quality, really. And I guess the one thing among those small amount of games that he's played this season was that really terrible pass to to Yates when it should have been a nailed on goal. That's one of the players I don't think that we'll see again for sure.
Please let that be true. Yeah, the Fleetwood penalty, the lack of effort when he lost the ball at Reading and they went on the charge, the absolute downed tools at Exeter. I could keep on going on. I shed no tear when he left. As I say, just disappointing. It was only on loan. Incomings.
Did you shed any tears though? I mean, even
Yeah,
the marvellous one was like inevitable, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, the funny one, like I say, 22-year-old midfielder, you look at our midfield ages, apart from one that we're going to come on to shortly, and they're all getting on a bit, aren't they, these midfielders? And Makosso, you know, we did the Makosso one in the last podcast, but the fact still remains that if the only thing that was wrong with him in terms of why he wasn't playing is because he's not a ball-playing centre half, well, surely that's the job of the coaching staff to coach him into playing better with the ball, because he's got all the other attributes and he's just walked straight into a championship side and played. I know they lost, but he played, and no defender come in to replace him. Let's come on to the incomings now. It was a day, as I said, it was a day of rumours. If you were up at the crack of dawn, the rumours were starting right off the bat, weren't they? And really nothing happened until sort of 7 o'clock at night in terms of an actual incoming. So we'll do the rumours first. And, the first one that kind of came out was, well, they're all midfielders, aren't they? Leighton Clarkson from Aberdeen. Must admit, when that hit the rumour mill, I quite liked the idea of that. A guy who sits in midfield, who likes to take the ball and everything that Jack's going to look for in that kind of midfielder. Ended up going to Blackpool, though.
We only sort of know that they are reports and rumours at the moment. You know, how much of an interest they took, I don't know, but there was enough for it to get reported at various different outlets in Scotland. So
reputable outlets as well. Daily Record is a reputable outlet.
So significant ones. It's a bit of a baffling one. And it might be, as these things often are, it might be down to money, and maybe Luton weren't offering as much. Because if you were going by, the potential, then Blackpool are not having a great time at the moment. And Luton could have a great time if they got their act together and got in the playoffs. So, yeah, it's a strange one for me.
Maybe he got confused by which team was in orange on Saturday, and I thought it was Blackpool. We stay in Scotland for the other one. Dylan Levitt, another midfielder from Hibernian. Last guy we signed from Hibernian wasn't too bad, was he? James Collins. But we won't be signing this one. Gone to Leyton Orient.
Can you compete with the capital? Can't compete with Venice. You can't compete with London, even if it is Leyton.
Well, indeed so, yeah. I mean, not a million miles away from London, mate, but, the one that really excited me from these early rumours was Luke O'Connell of Barnsley. I've talked him up on this podcast, and I hope I'm not going to talk him up on it when we preview our game against them next month. But he is still at Barnsley. We have interest in Barnsley. How dare these Barnsley people say no to us? That's 2 transfer windows on the bounce. We've had a Barnsley midfielder say, not happening.
The spell seems to have been broken, hasn't it? I must admit, when that one came early in the day, didn't you? And when I saw that, and I thought, oh, Luton tapping up Barnsley players, it felt like a warm hug from an old friend, is what I wrote at the time. And I was quite excited about that one because of having seen him. But yeah, he got the kibosh pretty early on, didn't it? Really. So back to the drawing board.
Yeah, indeed. Our midfielder's still having nightmares over him from our game up there where he passed them to death. And there was just a token gesture from someone who writes for the Evening Standard that Kieran Morgan from QPR was on our radar, but I think they needed to get rid of someone else for that to happen, and they didn't get rid of that person, so there wasn't much longevity in that. But as the transfer window was winding down, Jimbo, a Manchester Evening News reporter started tweeting that we'd put 2 bids in for Jack Diamond of Stockport. Now, he's another one who we've bigged up on this podcast because he's a good player. Left winger this time rather than central midfielder that the other 4 were. But alas, apparently they wanted $1.5 million and we only went to 1 million, and we ran out of time to get any deal done. Which in a 33-day transfer window has you scratching your head a wee bit.
Even though I thought that it would go down to transfer deadline day, I mean, if you want the player, then get him early. Unless, and we'll have to find out about this, unless the injury to Cohen Bramall is rather more serious than just the cut that we'd been told about.
Which is what I fear is the case, yeah.
Yeah. If that's the case, then it would be a late move. For me, if you really need a player to fill that space, then and he's a good player, give them the extra $500,000 for whatever they want. They named their price, didn't they? We've had that in the last transfer window with Kone. Disappointing one. That if it turns out that Bramall's not going to be back for a while, then we've lost out there a little bit, because Mili Ali's gone now, and you couldn't really say with full confidence that Lawrence has come in and lived up to the level so far. So might be a bit light there.
Yeah, we might. I mean, the other obvious upside to taking Jack Diamond was you hurt a potential playoff rival as well. You know, there aren't many teams that we're going to catch in these playoffs now, but Stockport probably are just about teetering on the edge of one that we can do. Certainly had we've got Diamond, and of course they'd already got their replacement for Diamond with Louis Barry coming back at Stockport. And this is probably the big thing, Jimbo. We're only going to focus on Luton's transfer window, but all the other clubs in the top six, I was seeing them make signings on deadline day, and you're like, are we going to do anything? Are we not going to do anything? And then the transfer window slammed shut, as it always does on Sky. You'd been tipped off that some deals were still to happen, so I wasn't completely panicking. But it was after 7 o'clock when they were announced. The first one, there was rumours of this one right throughout the day, so it wasn't a surprise to anyone. Sverre Sandow from Oslo, 22-year-old midfielder. I mean, immediately among Luton fans, you're going to get red flags flying because of the last time we dipped into the Scandinavian market for Lasse Nordos. I mean, the first thing to reference is that the Norwegian top flight season doesn't start until March the 8th. They played their first pre-season friendly Friday just gone, Oslo. So reading between the lines of everything that we've done this season and Lasse Nordos last season, if you think Cohen Bramall came without a pre-season and it took 5 or 6 weeks for us to see him in as a regular, kind of feeling that boat again. Let me take you back to the first podcast we did of 2026, and all I asked was that we signed players that hit the ground running. I just can't see how this guy hits the ground running.
No, I think that's a reasonable assumption to make. Based on Lasse Nordos and the strange way that our seasons are different. Understandably so, because it's so blooming cold in Norway, of course. But if you're only starting at the beginning of your pre-season, and it's slightly different to Bramall as well, because Bramall was a seasoned Football League player. He knows what to expect. When we saw Nordos come in, and he admitted that it was far more physical and powerful than he'd been expecting. I don't see a way that he comes in straight away. It might be another very good reason why we're in the Vertu Trophy. Might be able to give him some game in that, because I'm totally with you that on having to come in and hit the ground running. Ideally, we wanted those signings early doors in the transfer window, because how many games have we gone through in that month? 5 or 6, and we haven't had a great run at it, certainly away, dropping points, which were vital to, push on for the playoffs. When if he was available, which he was, because their season's over, could have got him earlier in the window, couldn't we? And those 5 or 6 games could have been even if he didn't play, he could have bedded in and got some fitness in that way. It kind of makes you think that, given all of the midfield rumours that there were, that he wasn't first choice. Otherwise, you could have got him earlier, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like I say, the Norwegian top flight starts on the 8th of March. So if his target performance date, elite performance date, was that weekend, then he's going to hit that when we play Reading at home. There are 6 league games between now and then. There are only 17 league games left. That's a third of the season that he may not contribute at a full capacity towards.
I mean, I think we should say we do have to reserve judgments till we see him. It's just the question of when will we see him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that, I'm sure he's okay. But like you just said a minute ago, he's okay. Or no, he wasn't okay. He was standout in the Norwegian league. But that's the Norwegian league. how many really go from there to the physicality of English football? We will see. But yeah, when we see him, it's a question mark. Do you know the other thing that Luton fans didn't really want? Signing players who have recently been injured.
Hmm.
So in comes number 2, Davy van den Berg, who spent middle of November to middle of January out with an injury. Midfielder from Utrecht. He's come with one of these razzle-dazzle YouTube clips, but I've not seen anyone look crap on them things before. Creative midfielder, we're led to believe he's on loan with a conditional purchase option. I mean, again, if you're going to communicate to supporters, why not lay out the conditions so that fans know what they're looking for? But that's neither here nor there. Do you know the last time Mr. Vandenberg played 90 minutes in a game of football, Jimbo? May.
Yeah.
Can't see this guy hitting the ground running either. Again, I'm open to be proven wrong. He has played in recent Europa League fixtures, but he has only played cameo roles in them. He hasn't played. And if you think of all the talk that we get from someone similar, i.e. Shaden Morris, who can't play 90 minutes, we're still getting that, and he's been here since the summer.
Although we know a bit more about Shaden Morris because he's still played his football largely on this isle. I was not going to say in this country. He's been up in Aberdeen, but Mike from the Luton News has told me this stat before. I can't remember what it was. So if you're out there and you've read this, but the amount of 90 minutes that he's played in his actual football career is very small. He hasn't really featured a lot.
Morris, that is,
Morris,
isn't it?
yeah. The profile of those two players look good in terms of perhaps physicality. You've got a 6'2" in Sandow. I think Vandenberg is quite tall. Builder's a bit creative, which is something we need, which might suggest that Casey Palmer plays further back where we've been seeing him, and further forward you can get Vandenberg in. But yeah, it's totally the unknown quantity, isn't it? Two players that have never played in this league. And perhaps it's slightly easier to slot into Championship style of football because they play a bit more football in that division. But what we've been saying about this division for quite a number of months about the rough and physical nature of it, they're going to have to adapt very quickly.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and that's assuming that they don't get injured along the way. You mentioned Casey Palmer and Vandenberg playing in the same team. Well, not all of these loan signings are going to be playing in the same team because we've got 6 of them now, and you can only have 5 in a matchday squad, which kind of tells you that, well, something's got to give, hasn't it? Obviously, I think most people would have been expecting Codua's loan to be confirmed. Jack did mention it midway through January that the deal was done. And that way you could have him playing and all 5 loan signings. That hasn't been done, and I'm assuming now that the window's closed, were it to be done, he couldn't be registered as a permanent signing. I don't know this, and if it has been done, why not announce it? So looks like we're going to miss out on a loan player. Now, obviously, everyone out there is just shrugging their shoulders because Lawrence hasn't really shown anything that suggests that, we're missing out on anything if he's not in the 18, but
yeah, these are the questions to ask, isn't it? We at the moment we don't know, but yeah, obviously the numbers don't add up.
No, someone's going to have to miss out, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see which way it is. What did you make of the transfer window then, Jimbo? I think I used the word underwhelming. That's what I felt when the window slammed shut. I'm absolutely staggered. No defender has come into this football club over the course of the month without allowing for the fact that 2 have left, because we haven't had a right back. And I know he's mentioned Izzy Jones, and that's fine. But again, Izzy Jones suddenly become injury prone since Hashioka joined 5 transfer windows ago. We are a centre-half injury to Mengi, for example, away from finishing the season with Cal Naismith and Mads Anderson at centre-back. Go back half a dozen to a dozen podcasts, and I explained why that pairing gives me the heebie-jeebies. And if anything happens to Joe Johnson, we're not a million miles away from Harry Fox being left-back.
Yes, although Wilshere has talked up Harry Fox as coming more into the mix, and what I've seen so far, I'll be fine with that. Back up at the moment, fine.
I would agree,
Yeah.
but if Johnson was to take Cohen Bramwell's challenge on Saturday, it's Harry Fox a 16 game man in a team that, again, it's been put out to us, is pushing for promotion.
Yeah, I mean, the jury's firmly out on that one, isn't it? I think it's okay to have reservations about these things, but it is also wise to wait until we've seen how it's going to work. I think if you're looking at the back line, and maybe it's being optimistic, maybe not, maybe they know more than us, but presumably they're thinking Izzy Jones right back, and then you've got a selection of Longwake, Anderson, Naismith, Mengi in centre half, which is cover.
Assuming that Longwake's not the lone signing that misses out.
Yeah, yes, assuming that one. But they're going to have to do some juggling on this fact, aren't they, on these numbers, because that is true. But you've just made the case there for Lawrence not being one of those that's included. And we know now from David Wilkinson, the chairman, that this rumour of him having to play a certain number of games or minutes isn't accurate. So,
Well, no, to be fair, in Wilco's, in amongst all that word salad of them programme notes, he said he doesn't have to play every game. Didn't mention anything about minutes and anything like that. And just to prove it, he didn't play last Saturday. But he is Jack's man. And it's absolutely pointless bringing in a manager who's got a wide open contact book for him to sign a player. And then 2 weeks later, we don't ever see that player because we needed to call Carol Vorderman up to get the numbers right. Rachel Riley is your Countdown fan of today. We're old school.
yeah, yeah, unfortunately. All the issues haven't been solved, and I didn't think they would be. I said all along that this window is not going to solve everything.
Yeah, I didn't think they would be either. But to create another issue of having too many loans to what you're allowed,
yeah, but
doesn't really make prudent sense. Again, going alongside we can only judge them on what we don't hear much. So you're going to get judged on the little bits that you do say.
True.
The little bits that you do say, one of the things was this transfer window. In fact, I've got the quote in front of me, Jimbo, because I knew that we were going to talk about it. Let me just bring it up. The quote that was in that Wickham programme note was, with January now approaching, attention has inevitably turned to the transfer window. This is in black and white. This is not me paraphrasing. Integral work with Jack and Chris has begun on identifying their desires for improvement as the wider team works with the objective of improving our chances of gaining promotion this season. Well, I would suggest that we failed on that objective. The jury is out.
The jury's out. I'm not trying to sit on the fence. I get accused of this. I'm trying to say to you, you have to judge it from what you see, and we haven't seen it yet. I'm saying it to everyone. You have to wait until that point. Reservations are fine. Criticisms of the window are fine. Let's see how the mix works. It doesn't feel like the sort of strength that I thought we might be trying to go after. But then again, transfers are complicated, and it may be that those players we went after just didn't want to move down here or up here, or wherever they're from. It may be the money wasn't right, maybe the fee was not right, maybe the wage is not right. There's all these different components of it. It's not like just, we wanted that player, he didn't come, so we got it wrong. But we did all that on the last day of the transfer window. That's one of the annoying things. We had all of that transfer window to try and work it and get to a point where we weren't scrambling around on the final day, even though I thought that might be the case. So, you can look at it various different ways, and I think you would come up with more questions than answers. But you've got to wait and see on some of them.
Yeah, you do. Look, the jury's out for deliberation, but the prosecution have put a much stronger case together than the defence with regards to this particular court case, I believe. That's how I see it, and I'm sure we're going to get loads more word salads in the programme on Saturday to try and justify it, and let's see what it says. But ultimately, even if you go back to the previous transfer window mantra of always coming out of it stronger than we go into it, I don't think you can make that particular case either. Yeah, admittedly, we've got lots of wages off the wage bill, and we've potentially got players here who don't want to be here that are at different clubs. I understand all of that. But we've signed 5 players, 3 of which are on loan, one of which it looks likely won't be a feature of the matchday squad. Apart from Devante Cole, really. Not really sure where we've improved any of our credentials in this transfer window. Now, that's not to say Vandenberg and Sandow won't be fantastic, but we are starting to run out of game time here. Bearing in mind, we are 3 wins away from our nearest challenger above us, and there's only 17 games left.
Yeah, those are legitimate concerns. I'm fine with that. We're essentially in the position that we just don't know yet, and maybe that's not good enough. There's questions to be asked to try and find out what we are, like that point you made about coming out of the transfer window stronger. I don't think I've heard that this time around, and I don't think you could.
No, you got that quote that I just gave you, but
I don't think you can legitimately say that we have come out of this stronger. We've come out of this having done half of the job potentially of what most people were saying, which was get rid of players that aren't used, aren't favoured out of the club.
well, that's the other thing that we've been quoted over the course of this season. Judge a transfer when he leaves. Well, how many have left that have really impacted the club? I mean, everyone's quoting that January transfer window from a year ago, and the only people who are here left here from just 12 months ago. And I understand we've gone through a manager since then, and that's completely. And I tried to make that point in the last podcast. But ultimately, we're left with Izzy Jones, who's played 5 games this season, and Cal Naismith, who was only on loan at the time, and we've renewed it since then. You know, the other incomings have all either bombed out before this transfer window, in the case of Josh Bowler, or in this transfer window, in the case of Chris Makosso, Josh Bowler and Taylor Asgard, in the case of Chris Makosso, Millie Ali, and there was one more who came in, but it's too many transfers for my tiny brain to target. But either way, we're left with 2 from the 7 that came in just 12 months ago.
Yes.
You can understand why people are failing to see any kind of continuity factor in all of this.
Absolutely.
And I get that the manager change is that, but when you change a manager, you don't necessarily have to change the whole shebang. We've chosen to do that. So I don't know. And as I say, we've got history with a Norwegian player who came over here. Okay, we've recruited this one a division below the last one. That's good. You know, if the last one couldn't play in the Championship, let's hope this one can play in League One. But our history with these foreign markets, when we've been in a division where foreigners should be able to settle better, is pants. I can't think of one that's come from overseas, really, that's made a positive impact immediately. If there is one out there, then shout at me. I mean, the foreign person who's made an immediate impact would be Lakonga and Asgard. Well, both had been in this country for God knows how long. They were overseas players, but they weren't foreign signings. They were signings from this country. The rest, I mean, Hashioka, absolute flop. Nordos, absolute, flop. Makosso, never really given the time of day to be a success or otherwise. Lemmy Fanny, never given the time of day. We haven't got a great history with this market.
No, I agree, and those are legitimate reservations to have. I think we can all look at that and go, yeah, the same things that we've done before haven't worked before, so we're doing them again and hoping for a different result. I think that's fair to say. Again, you have to go, well, you've got to see them play out. But, when you look at the last year's transfer window in the January, we signed all those players. And I know that ultimately we went down, but it was only on the last day of the season, an absolute catastrophe car crash game against West Brom. But up until that point, put ourselves into a really good position. So up until that point, you could say that a number of those players had worked to get us into that position. We just ultimately failed on the last day. And if your gauge of that is, well, the end result is the end result, then yeah, fair enough. We went down. I can't argue against that. But maybe they were all recruited to play in the Championship. It seems that way. It seems half of them are gone to the Championship. Do you know what I mean? And now we're having to look for players that can dig us out of a hole in League One. Again, those 2 players, those 2 midfielders that have come in, we don't know. Devante Cole? Yeah, probably. But we'll see.
We will indeed. Yeah. Listen, I hope I'm completely and utterly wrong, and these 3 are the first, second, and third comings of Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, and any other midfielder that you can think of. But, I think...
Well, they've been they said that Sandow was named the ex-Berg Yaya Toure, so we get a player half as good as that. You never know.
Doesn't look like Yaya Toure, but let's hope he plays like Yaya Toure. Yeah, that's for sure when we see him. Yeah, jury's out for me, but listen, if I've got that completely wrong and these two turn out to be fantastic signings and an awful lot quicker than what we think we're going to see them, then I'll gladly come on front of this camera, as I always do, put my hands up and admit that I've got it wrong. But yeah, I was expecting and hoping an awful lot more from the transfer window and particularly deadline day than what we got, particularly in live, particularly that Connell and Diamond rumours. If we'd got them two in, game changers, because they're ready for League One in much of the Devante Cole way. They're ready for League One. They're bloody good footballers. They're impacting potential promotion challenges and everything else. And they're of an age whereby we can go with them for a while. Okay, these two are as well, but yeah, we'll see. We don't think they're going to be involved on Saturday against Bradford, but they might. But we don't think they are. But we will be playing Bradford, Jimbo. Saturday afternoon, it's another early kickoff. So it is on television, Sky Sports Plus, if you haven't got a ticket to Kenilworth Road on Saturday. 12:31 p.m. kickoff for this one. I'm not going to make any jokes about the 1 minute because it's actually a serious thing that the EFL are promoting by pushing them all forward a minute. It's obviously the Every Minute Matters campaign with Sky Bet, which we are locked into via Tom Lockyer. And it's a fantastic campaign, and they really should do an awful lot more around it than just pushing the kickoff back by a minute. But this is a massive game, Jimbo. This might be the biggest game we've got left in our season because I'm struggling to see teams that we can catch above us purely because we've played most of them, of the ones that were within reach, and the only one that potentially within reach that we've got left to play after Bradford is Bolton, and that's the last day of the season. So it's kind of, well, I mean, I usually ask you, but I'm probably going to answer it for you this time. I think this is I think if we're going to get promoted this season, and again, still the words that are being pushed to us at press conferences and things like that, and I'll take you back to podcasts, I don't think Luton are getting promoted. I'm not sitting here telling you guys that Luton are getting promoted, but the people from within are. If we're going to get promoted this season, we have to beat Bradford and narrow that gap to 4 points, because otherwise they're away and gone and no one's really coming back. And as I mentioned earlier on, pretty much everyone above us in this transfer window have strengthened.
I agree, because we fluffed our lines quite recently against Huddersfield, which, if we got that result, as we should have against 10 men, not even a draw, a win, we should have.
Totally different outlook if we get we get that.
You bring them back into the picture and everything's a lot rosier. Particularly then we went home and won a game, which seems to be our only sort of outlet for points at the moment. So, yeah, I totally agree that it's a must win. You've got to be able to beat those teams above you, because I think they're all relatively consistent enough to just keep Luton at arm's length. Just like that little sort of comedy thing where they're holding your head and little Luton are swinging their arms and not landing a punch. And that's just what it feels like.
Yeah, I would agree. And also the reason why it's must win, look at the league fixtures, the next 5, 4 of them are away from home. The one immediately after this is at Cardiff. Red flags are already in my head for that one. Listen, we went to Cardiff last season and won. It's not impossible. But they look like they've kicked on an awful lot more than what we've done based on the 30 games of the league season so far. So we have to win this game. So let's go on to Bradford, who, as I mentioned, have strengthened. Paul Mullin has signed during the transfer window. I can't remember if it was deadline day or a bit earlier. And they signed Caden Jackson from, I think he was from Derby, but he was at Ipswich previous to that. He's a local lad, came through their youth system, and I know a couple of Bradford fans who are mighty happy to see him come home. So they've strengthened in attacking areas, and they looked a good side when we went there, albeit it comes with the caveat that it was the first of our regular horror shows on the road. When we went to Bradford, it was the first irate instant reaction that I did this season, where we didn't turn up, where we played McGuinness when he was physically half the size that He ended up being a couple of 3 weeks later. And to the person in our comments who said we sold our best defender to Sheffield United, we really didn't. We really, really, really didn't.
We sold our most expensive defender.
Yeah, we definitely didn't sell our best one to Sheffield United. Go and check his record out there. I think he's conceded 5 more times than any other number doing the rounds. They're a good side, Bradford. They're managed by someone we know very well in Graham Alexander, who just from his time when he played at Luton, and I'm a big thing that football teams represent their manager or their manager's credentials. He's a hard worker. So this team's going to work very, very hard. Maybe not got the quality of Cardiff, Lincoln, Bolton and Stockport, but what they might lack in quality, they'll more than make up for in endeavour.
Yeah, it certainly felt like at Valley Parade they won the work rate battle, didn't it? And then they took their chances, reasonably well. And it's it's one that fills me with a little bit of dread because you could well see that happening again.
You can, yeah. Do you want the good side of this Bradford team, though?
Yes, please.
They have only won 2 away games in all competitions since the last Saturday in September.
Well, take that.
I think we've won as many in that time, and we're pants away from home.
Well, there's some hope to hang on to, isn't it? And we're at home. Listen, we've either played well or solidly enough to be getting points at home. The last game was nothing to write home about, was it? But we got the job done, and that's all we need. I mean, I'd like it to be a bit more comfortable. Thank you very much, but we can 1-0 our way to some success. We've if we 1-0 our way to success, we've done that before, haven't we? Ended up in the Premier League.
Yeah, we're team bore everyone silly and win 1-0. I mean, listen, if Arsenal are going to win the Premier League doing it, we're more than happy to win League One playoffs doing it. That's for sure. Yeah, being a home game. It's just simply a game we have to win. Let's go through some people to watch out for in this Bradford side. And, well, if you're of the persuasion that old boys come back to haunt us, I
so Josh Nerfville Derby then.
Yeah, I was going to say the prosecution puts Josh Nerfville into the witness box.
Yeah, it looks like he's been having a decent season, and he did it for AFC Wimbledon the previous season. I mean, if you're looking for a winger, you wanted to bring somebody home, that would have been a good one, wouldn't it?
Well, when he went from Wimbledon to Bradford in the summer, I am absolutely staggered we weren't in for him, because he is the exact profile of everything. I mean, if you think Izzy Jones is our right back now, which has only come to light in the last few days, he is Izzy Jones, but probably a slightly younger model of Izzy Jones. He knows the football club. I'm not saying he would be replacing Izzy Jones, but, you need 2 to tango in positions. What a signing he would have been. And I'm pretty sure he left Wimbledon at the end of his contract, so he was a free transfer. Could be one that got away. Let's hope he doesn't haunt us on Saturday. But if Cohen Bramwell's injury is bad, and even if Cohen Bramwell's injury isn't bad, if he's got a gash on the side on his ankle, the size that Jack was suggesting he has, he's not playing on Saturday because he'll have had stitches and everything else. Joe Johnson's not the quickest down that side.
Yeah, that is true. Whether they'd have been in the youths, I don't think in the same age group bracket, were they? But they'd be aware of each other, certainly. But Joe Johnson has been impressive in the last 4 or 5 games, however many he's played. We haven't really seen him hugely tested against that pace. I thought that we might have got that in the last game with CJ Hamilton, but Bramall shackled him as much as Hamilton shackled Bramall, so we didn't really see that. But yeah, it will be a challenge. Obviously, he looks a useful player, but hopefully with this system, we've got that doubling up still. Whoever plays in that position, he's got to get past the winger and the fullback.
Because he did hurt us at their place, didn't he? Obviously, that was under Bloomfield. And I can't remember who played right side in that game. I think it was Longwake. I think that was the first one. But then something tells me in the back of my head that he played left wing back to start off with. Because it was the game that Millie Ali was going to be sent off, wasn't he? He absolutely ploughed into someone on a yellow card. And, I don't, to this day, I still don't know how he didn't get sent off. But Yeah, he caused us all sorts of problems that day. And another guy who caused us all sorts of problems, and was one of the best players I've still seen this season, was their academy product, Bobby Poynton, who scored the winning goal that day, I believe. And I mean, he just, every time the ball was down that left-hand side, he just killed us, didn't he? And he's gone from strength to strength, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, we hit that Bradford team who'd just come up and were really in form and stuff. They, like you say, that away form suggests that they've dropped off a little bit, but they're obviously still in that mix because their start was very good. So hopefully that would be the situation. But they're still a very good team based on those core principles of Graham Alexander's and a little bit of quality that, they beat us. They comfortably beat us fair and square at their place. So that's a worry.
It is a worry, yeah. Of course, we were very much square pegging round holes at their place. It was Longwick who was left wing back. It was Millie Alley who was right wing back. Of course, how could I forget Millie Alley at right wing back? Naismith, Anderson, and McGuinness.
Also, that was a Bloomfield team, and now we've got a Wiltshire team. So that's another thing that you can add into the mix that changes things.
Yep. Paul Mullin scored goals at this level and the one below it for a long time. Obviously, catalyst to Wrexham being in the Championship. If I read one more time that that's a fairy tale, I swear to God, my laptop screen will not be fit for operation. But they've moved on from Paul Mullin. He was on loan at Wigan earlier in the season. Played against us in the home game against Wigan. Wigan, I don't know if he got recalled or they sent him back or what the situation was, or if he was only on loan until January. But he's out on loan at Bradford. Kind of get the feeling that he'll go well there because they do put a lot of balls in the box and not the most mobile of centre forwards, but when the ball's in the box, he doesn't half know how to attack it. We have to be careful because we cannot defend our box.
No, he's a finisher. Thankfully, when he was in a Wigan shirt the last time here, he wasn't because he missed an absolute golden chance, didn't he? So if you do that again, then I prefer that Paul Mullin than the one that was, inspiring that non-fairy tale.
Don't even.
Hey, there was a commentator last year or the year before saying that Manchester City's whatever they won that year was a fairy tale. Oh, yeah.
Won the Champions League 7 days after Luton got promoted to the Premier League.
State-sponsored billionaires.
7 days after we got promoted to the Premier League, and he come out with that nonsense. Last time Bradford were at Luton, we won 4-0, Jimbo.
Oh, I think I might have been at that game.
You would have been at that game, yes, because it was in League One last time around. 3-0 at half-time. James Justin, 2 Elliott Lee goals, and a Harry Cornick
was at that
goal.
Game. Yeah.
And, well, if we can have that first half this time round, everyone will be mightily happy.
Yeah, certainly if we can get any of our players that are misfiring to score in the same way that Cornick needed a million chances to score one, then that'd be nice. If Cole is going to start and he gets off to a dream debut, scores a goal and gets up and running, that would be ideal.
Well, let's segue it then. Go into the Luton team news because, well, yeah, usually we go back to front, don't we? But let's go front to back then. Does he start?
Yes. In the same way that Emilio Lawrence came straight in and started, Casey Palmer came straight in and started. Devante Cole doesn't need any getting up to speed. He's League One ready. He's a Jack signing. He's the one that he was very excited about. He was the one in the scanner. If you listen to the Friday press conference, he was talking about that he thought we'd all be excited by. So I think he has to.
Did he actually quote "we'd all be excited by it," or did he just say to Jeff Doyle he'd be excited by it? Because I saw it as a little chit chat between the two. Now, if we're all excited by him, I mean, looking at public opinion, I'm not sure that everyone is. I have no problem with it. I think it's a fine signing. My only issue is that he's 30 years old, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. But whatever the situation is, all season long, Luton need a striker. Luton signed striker. No, not that striker. No, we can't be that. You either want a striker, no, you get a striker. You need to be happy that we got a striker, or there's no other way around it. We've signed a striker.
We've signed a striker. We've signed a target man, which is something we haven't had. We've signed a man that you can play the ball up to and play off, which could be very fruitful with some of those players that we've got playing just behind. You know, your Codgers and your Morris if he comes in, Richards if he comes in, Clark if he's playing further forward. That could work really well. And, you know, it's something that we haven't had this season at all. The two strikers that we did have, fairly small in stature. Well, Cole's not. And it's a shame that we're looking like we're probably not going to have Bramall, because all the crosses that were going in, he'll gobble them up, hopefully.
He would have done, yeah. One up front, two up front.
Well, that's the interesting one that I want to find out about, really, because I think that Wells plays better off and a bigger front man or a target man, which is what Cole would be. So whether they change that system to suit that, or whether they continue with this one up front, it depends what camp you're in. But, you know, given Jack's pedigree, it tends to be, from where he's from, and certainly in the Premier League, one up front, doesn't it? With the three behind. So it would suggest to me that he goes in, and Wells, you know, has a breather. He's played up nearly every minute for God knows how long, since Christmas. So that would make sense in that regard. But something in me, you know, I was a forward when I played, and I much preferred playing with a strike partner. You cause more havoc, and I much preferred watching Morris and Adebayo play, or, you know, Collins and the various support casts that he had around him at the time, Hilton and another man. I much preferred it.
Yeah, we all do of our generation. It's just not the way now, is it? And the way is your wide wingers are your goal scorers. Think who the Premier League champions are. Liverpool, you know, Mo Salah, top scorer in the league. I mentioned it when we were in the Premier League. I think Son Heung-min was one of the top scorers in the league that season. And, you know, and obviously this is the era that Jack's grown up in, isn't it? This current era of football. So, yeah, we're going to be looking at our wider players. So I think it's one up front. And I think, for all that he's talked up Wells, I think we're about to change now, and that striker's not dropping deeper. The number 10 is going to be the focal point of our attack, and that striker's going to get his backside in between the white lines of the penalty box and not leave it. And when a cross comes over, your job is simply to be on the end of it and make sure ball and net are united as one on a regular occasion.
Yes, please. Simple football for simple people. Me, I'm talking about.
I was going to say,
not you. You're very intelligent. Me.
I was going to say, there's no more simple than the two of us in front of this in these cameras. That's for sure. Yeah, we don't think Bramall's going to be fit, and if we do see Cohen Bramall on the team sheet, I think Jimbo and myself will both rejoice, not just because he's bloody good, but also he's bloody quick, and he'll sort that Nerfville situation out down that side, which was a constant threat at their place, albeit optically it's a much bigger pitch at their place, even if it isn't actually a much bigger pitch, isn't it? I think it's weird, isn't it? I mean, listen,
it's just more space around.
The green grass is all the same,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah. It just looks different when it's a big stadium. But we don't think he's fit. We do think there's going to be three behind a striker. Who are the three?
Codger, all day long in a central role, please.
So you've got whom on the left?
Richards.
Okay, we haven't seen him on the left before, have we?
Yeah, because I would have Morris on the right. I think that he's started to earn his place as a starter a little bit more. We've talked about him as being an impact, whereas we talked about Codger being an impact player. His goals came and made sure that he wasn't, and he had to start. And we've got that threat from Morris in terms of beating players and getting to the byline and crossing balls in, and he scored a couple of goals as well. So I think that would be the way he goes.
Yeah, listen, you never have to talk to me twice about getting Morris inside. That's for sure. I'm not sure about Richards on the left, though. He hasn't played him there, has he, Jack? And that, he's generally, when he's played off the right. When he came on Saturday, he came on in the number 10 and Codger moved to the left. I wonder if that's the way he goes. Codger left, Richards.
Oh yeah, but don't get me wrong. I think that you're right. I think that's probably the way he will go. What I'm saying is,
I don't think Richards plays for.
I'm saying I don't think that Codger's best served out wide.
Oh, no.
Every time he has played out there, hasn't affected the game half as much as he's been in the middle.
But until you have Bramall back, he's probably your only option out on that left-hand side. But the reason why I don't think Richards plays is I think Clark plays in the 10 role on Saturday, because he seems to have to play a different role every single Saturday at the moment. So I think we go Codger left, Morris right, Clark in the 10 role, and like you say, Devante Cole up front with Walsh and Casey Palmer as the two central midfielders in between, because he was obviously officially ill. This Ipswich nonsense was exactly that with regards to Liam Walsh. There wasn't even any semblance that he was leaving on transfer deadline day, and Ipswich looked like they were in for anyone who had breath at the moment. So that's going to be, I mean, if he was ill, let's hope it was only a minor illness and that he's fit and recovered. Walsh and Palmer are the central midfield too, so Clark would have to be the 10.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. That's probably his best position anyway. That I'd rather him playing that than a false 9 or a central defensive midfielder. That's for sure.
Just the term false 9 gets on my nerves. False. No one goes to a football match to see something false, do they? We want actual.
Yeah, it's not for me either. I was a number 9 all day long. Grabbed that shirt and...
Well, if I'd known that, I'd have thrown you on at Huddersfield, my friend.
Well, there's one thing for sure. I wouldn't have moved outside of the box because I'd have been out of puff. So I'd have just been staying there.
That's very
King
true.
goal hanger.
That's very true. Back four being the same back four, or does Izzy Jones come in for Longwake this time?
Yeah, I think he comes in for me. It gives us more attacking options. And he's been talked of. And I think Bloomford said this as well, but definitely Wilshere that he's Luton's best one-on-one defender.
And so, I'm fine with that. Yeah. That when that was spoken, when I did hear that, and you're right, Jack said it on Friday, that didn't surprise me. Now, where people will be surprised is Cleary tore him an absolute new one at Barnsley. But, everyone's got their kryptonite, right? But in the main, you're not going past him for pace. No. Or if you are, you're bloody quick if you're going past him for pace. And he stands up. That's what I do like about Izzy Jones. He stands up. He doesn't fly in and commit himself and then, leave it to someone else to chase the winger back 20 yards. So I can see that. And that's why I likened him to Jack Stacey earlier on in the podcast, because Jack Stacey did exactly the same thing. Stood up, waited for this opportunity to get the ball, and when he gets the ball, listen, we know all about Jack Stacey, but when he gets the ball, he's away and gone, and you're not catching him. So I very much do see the similarities. I am absolutely fine with Izzy Jones as a right back for this football club. But as I said, my questions around it is he robust enough to be the right back at this football club? If he is, we're absolutely fine and dandy in that position.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? He, like I say, he played a relatively decent amount of games last season. It's just that he's had that one massive injury and come back and had another one, which can happen. Often it's talked of as happening when you've come back from big injuries. The proof's it's always going to be in the pudding, isn't it? We've got to see it.
We do, yep. But referee's probably going to be busy again on Saturday, Jimbo. They like a yellow card to Bradford.
Well, I say that we're top of the Fair Play League, so we're top of something.
Well, that's no surprise, is it? I don't think we've tackled anyone all season, have we? They like a yellow card, particularly Max Power in the centre of the park. And, I look through the statistics. He has set up the most chances in this division. Now, don't worry, he's a defensive midfielder, but he set up the most chances because most of their chances come from set pieces. Yeah. Big problem.
Yeah, no silly fouls. We've lost our free kick taker supreme, haven't we? So we'll have to wait. Although I'm told that Casey Palmer takes a decent free kick, but he's not.
Needs to lower the radar from Saturday, doesn't he? I've seen him take a decent free. Where did I see him take a decent free? Was it against Hull? Last season he took one. Did one hit the crossbar close to it? I remember thinking at the time, cool, we've got away with it then. So if it didn't hit the crossbar, very, very close to it. I can quite believe that he takes a decent free kick. But the other way round, absolutely no silly fouls in our final third, and we are so guilty of giving stupid fouls away. It's untrue. I mean, poor old Jack. I mean, obviously he didn't particularly appreciate the one that Millie Alley gave away against Port Vale, because that's the last time we saw him in a Luton shirt. He must pull his hair out with some of these needless fouls, because they must know that in their heart of hearts they can't defend the box.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that stick out for me mostly is when we're trying to chase a game with in injury time
like
and
that Yates one at Huddersfield.
making stupid fouls and just giving, taking the sting out of it. And they're the annoying ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No fouls given away. When we're defending set pieces, might have to watch this one between your fingers, I'm afraid, because they are good at set pieces. Again, very much in line with their manager. Graham Alexander was good with set pieces, taking them and defending them. Where we can hurt them, though, pace. They are an ageing backline. Take Nerfville out of the equation. They are an ageing backline. They're a tall backline. Pennington and Tilt must be two of the taller defenders in this league. Torre, the left back, he was the one who got involved in that incident with Millie Alley at their place, where Millie Alley absolutely thundered into him. I mean, like, absolute bang, thundered into him. He's no younger, not getting any younger either. So Codger, Morris, Cole's no slouch. Palmer can shift when the need rises. Izzy Jones. Let's hit them with all of it.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's a game plan to be going for. Up until this point, and we'll see how Cole changes that dynamic, I guess. But we haven't had the profile of player that is going to be able to cope with those big defenders. And time again, when we have come up against one of those traditionally, head it and kick it defenders, they've come out trumps. But now I think with Cole changes the mix a little bit. And even if it just gives them something to think about and they snatch at things, or, like at the weekend, the goal came from a mistake, didn't it? That could happen in this situation. Then you've got those three certainly right behind him that would all sniff around for goals. No problem.
And that's why I said that I see the 10 being the focal point of the attack now, because he'll occupy these centre-halves in much the same way that Al-Hamadi occupied the centre-half and caused him to scuff that clearance to Clark at the weekend. No longer is the centre-half going to have an easy time with a ball that comes into our box, which, it's not a criticism of Wells. Wells is what Wells is. We knew what Wells was when we signed him, hence why Jack's sort of changing the way that we're playing. But I expect a lot more bombardment into boxes now.
I suppose it's another good shout, actually, for your setup of those three with Clark as a 10, because Clark and Adebayo worked so well together whenever they were together. I mean, you don't have to look at the Wembley final. They're teamed up for that goal, but that's not the prime example of that pressing style that the pair of them used to do really well. And also before that, the Scottish midfielder Campbell, him and Adebayo used to do that very well. So, if we can get something going like that with Cole and a partnership, that'd be pretty useful.
Well, indeed. Yep. All that's left is with that part of the show, the score prediction part of the show, Jimbo. I suppose you've got to give the people what they want.
Jimbo, master of reverse psychology.
There it is. Before Jimbo gives his reverse psychology for the win, here is the leaderboard that we promised you from the last one. Really bunching up at the top now. 3 of you into the 20s and a whole group of people in behind it. So 3 points, much in the same way that they're important for Luton, will be important on our leaderboard as well, Jimbo. Well, we know which way you're going, but what's the score going to be?
Well, I think I've alluded it. I've teased the breadcrumb this score throughout the podcast, and it's come up trumps 3 times in a row now. So
Not Donald, thankfully, but
not him, no. It's got to be 1-0. 1-0 to them, reverse psychology for the win.
fair enough. No, I'm all right with this in this one. I was all right with this against Blackpool, and I'm all right with us here, and we'll worry about what's to come afterwards. They don't score many away from home, actually, believe it or not. Bradford, you'd have thought that they would have done with their physicality and their set-piece quality. Hopefully we don't concede no set-pieces, because I'm going 2-0 Luton in this one.
Ooh, a shutout. Get back on the old clean sheet train.
Well, we've just come from the clean sheet train, haven't we? We just kept one. So, and well done to Josh Kearley. He has gone one clear in the race for the Golden Glove. Did they have one of them in this
Yeah,
league?
James Shea won it, didn't he?
Of course he did, yes. So he's ahead of, and I believe he made 16 clean sheets last season, so he's well on course to beat that this season. And in a team that can't defend, that is a mighty good effort.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at it like that, it is baffling. Isn't it? The amount of clean sheets we've been able to keep, it's just that when we get beaten, we get well beaten. And again, like saying that we've not particularly performed very well, and yet we're just outside that playoff picture. Unfortunately, a little too far for my liking. But yeah, it's a bonkers league.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? This time we absolutely do play first this weekend. The other game that's on television on Saturday lunchtime is Port Vale against Burton. And if either of those two worry the playoffs this season, something's going to have gone really, really pear-shaped because they're both in the bottom four as we stand. This time, if we beat Bradford, not only do we close to within 4 points of them, keep them relatively within reach, we'll be 3 points behind Huddersfield, who then play later in the day, but they'll know that all of a sudden we're shuffling up their backsides again, put a little bit of pressure on them. They're not particularly great away from home either, albeit they beat Peterborough last weekend, which was kind of annoying for us, but you don't know. Listen, until the away form's sorted, I'm not even going to think about promotion, but the numbers are the numbers, aren't they?
That's the thing, isn't it? I think we've got a reasonably good sample size to say that home form has started to turn, not even turn, it's now pretty good overall. The away form is the thing that's clearly holding us back. And if it's not for that, then I think we might be more buoyant about potential chances, because it's still close enough, but not if you can't win away games. And we need, 11 wins, maybe?
Well, 10 to get to that. 9 to get to, we've got 12 wins now, 9 to get to that minimum that I spoke about a few podcasts ago. What we need, Jimbo, is back-to-back wins. And this is a chance to get back-to-back wins in any league, but particularly this one in the Championship. You get back-to-back wins, you let people know about it in much the same way you get back-to-back defeats. You fall off the pace, as we've just done. Plymouth and Huddersfield fallen right off the pace. If we can get back-to-back wins here, at least then we go to Cardiff with something behind us, and then what will be after Cardiff. You look at the 4 games after that, Wigan away, forget where they are for a moment. Wigan away, Burton home, Doncaster away, Port Vale home. That's 3 of the bottom 4, and a Wigan side who by the time we go there might well be in the bottom 4. And I referenced Ryan Lowe getting the sack in the last podcast. He didn't get the sack. He apparently got the vote of confidence, so he will be sacked. But they could legitimately be the bottom 4.
Yeah.
So if we can find something away from home, this is the month to make our move, which just makes those 2 signings potentially not being ready to hit the ground running all the more of a pain in the backside. Just on Van der Berg, do we think he'll be on the bench on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so, because he's been playing, isn't he? He's on his way back from that injury that he had at Utrecht. So, yeah, it makes sense to give him his chance.
So that's something to look out for. Yep. So lots of pace. Don't concede no set pieces. Get the job done. Job's a good one.
Easy this lark, isn't it?
And then we can go and enjoy our afternoon in the boozer and the evening in the boozer as well. And everyone's a winner. Happy days. That's it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks for all of your comments over the course of the podcast that we've done over the last week or so. Really do appreciate that. And hopefully you keep them coming. Get your score predictions into us. Usual amount of time to get them into us. And obviously, if you get it right, we'll give you a shout out in the Bradford Review podcast, which will be out normal time. And we've got a nice free week next week, Jimbo.
Woohoo!
Unfortunately, we've then got midweek games to come throughout that, which means if you do want to know when all of our content drops, well, hit the subscribe button wherever it is that you get this podcast. Have the notifications on, and well, you'll find out exactly when it is when it drops. It's not going to be Monday, Thursday throughout because one of the games is a Wednesday, isn't it? So we're obviously not going to be able to record that Wednesday night. So there is a little bit of jiggery-pokery going on, but we'll get them out to you as regularly as we can do.
As ever, mate. Yeah, we always aim to, and we're doing so far so good on that front.
Absolutely. Yep. And you're all telling us how much you're enjoying it, so that's good. Just before we go, a couple of notices. First of all, well, speedy recovery, actually, but well done on a fantastic career to Ronnie Henry, who is now going to retire from the game after breaking his leg at the weekend. He's part of the academy coaching staff. He was fantastic value at the Trust AGM in November, and he's going to be part of an event where we look back on the conference winning season in March, with details to follow in the next couple of weeks. So best wishes for a speedy recovery, Ronnie, and congratulations on a good career, one of which, well, saw you captain us on the most important promotion that we went on.
And a hugely pivotal moment of getting that fan in the huddle with that team, sort of turned the tide a little bit, didn't it? And at various points this season, I thought we might need that. We've got potentially a way to do it on the pitch at the moment. We just got to show it.
Well, various points this season, we've needed a leader and a right back, so I kind of thought we might just upgrade him, not to be. And also, if you go back to the Stevenage preview podcast, we had Mark Crowther in alongside us, talking about how he is embarking on some walks prior to games, all around mental health, and he's got in touch with me and asked if I can promote this Saturday's one, which is a walk and talk from David Lloyd in Capability Green. I'm led to believe that's a gym and not the fellow who used to play cricket for England, but I wouldn't know too much about that. Everyone is welcome to meet him at 9:30 in David Lloyd reception, where a complimentary warm drink will be waiting for you, and a chat before setting off at 10 o'clock for a comfortable paced walk to Kenilworth Road, which will take up to around an hour. So whether you're struggling with your mental health or you just want some conversation and exercise before the game, Mark is there for anyone who wants to join him. Anyone who's interested can message him on his socials at Mark Crowther66. That's on X or on Instagram, or on Talking Hatters or Tackle Suicide Together platforms. It's at Talking Hatters, and just stick Tackle Suicide Together into the search bar on any of those and it'll come up to him. Huge thank you to David Lloyd for welcoming everyone before the walk. We really do appreciate that, as we do Mark, who does a great job for Luton fans and for mental health as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very good initiative. Although I walked up the hill near where I live recently and got very out of breath, so comfortable pace walk might be too fast for me.
So Jimbo won't be on this walk, which, is a good thing. I won't be either, because these early games means down the brace for an all-you-can-eat breakfast, Jimbo. As quite a few of you watch this podcast, see me down there as well.
I'll tell you what, they're bangers. Bangers.
They are bangers. You're absolutely right. No doubt about that. I hate 12:30 games with a passion, but you got to make the most of what you get, and there it is. So regulars that are in there, I'll see you in there Saturday morning. That's it. Thanks to all the folks at Marsh House, the new home of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast. Always appreciate your support, guys. As we do, Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music. Until next time, where Jimbo and myself will be reflecting on what we hope are 3 points in a must-win game against Bradford City. From the two of us, come on, you Hatters. Big effort on Saturday, please.